Hey everybody, it's Mike from the Mike Wagner Show, powered by Sonic Web Studios. Visit online at sonicwebstudios.com for all your needs. Look at a professional website without breaking your budget. Sonic Web Studios is the answer. Sonic Web Studios offers fast, affordable custom web designs at below the competition way. Call today at 1-800-303-3960. That's 1-800-303-3960. Or email to support at sonicwebstudios.com. Mention the Mike Wagner Show. Get 10% off your first order. Sonic Web Studios. Take your image to the next level. Also, the Mike Wagner Show can be heard on the MikeWagnerShow.com. You can check our Facebook page at Facebook.com/The Mike Wagner Show. You can download and listen on Facebook, SoundCloud, Spreaker, Spotify, and iHeartRadio. Also on Anchor FM, Radio Public, iTunes, Google Play, Apple, Deezer, Stitcher, and more. Take the Mike Wagner Show with you on any mobile device. Subscribe to the Mike Wagner Show on the YouTube channel. Also follow the Mike Wagner Show on Instagram and Twitter today. We're here with co-writer and producer Mark Salyer of Array Productions here on the Mike Wagner Show. He's got a new movie out called Ladies Most Deject. It's won numerous awards all across the board. He's also done Where I'm From, Drive Through Delegate, Mystery of Appalachia, and he's also been a theater director, manager, teacher, and small production company owner as well, too. And, of course, you also were featured in quite a number of productions, including playing Electra in Greece. I can't pronounce the name. It's I'll get that right. So, and of course, this latest film is shot in Appalachia, and it's about struggling family and addiction. But before we get into all that, we'd like to welcome aboard the owner of Array Productions and just a very talented gentleman from Los Angeles. Ladies and gentlemen, the very multi-talented Mark Salyer. Mark, good morning, good afternoon, good evening. Thanks for joining us today.
Hello, good evening. Thank you so much for having me, Mike. I'm really happy to be here.
Oh, it's a pleasure as well, too. So you're a co-writer and producer, and you did the most recent movie, Ladies Most Deject, which is on multiple awards. You also did Where I'm From, Drive Through Delegate, Mystery of Appalachia. You've also been a theater director, manager, teacher, small production company, and more as well, too. You also made quite a number of appearances as well, too. And before we get into all that, tell us how you got your career started.
Well, I'm originally from the Appalachian Mountains, myself, from a little tiny town in the corner of Virginia, in the southwestern corner of Virginia. And I grew up with a family that loved to tell stories, both musical stories and stories from the mountains, folk tales. So it's very interesting to me that pretty much my entire career has been about storytelling in one way or another. I became an actor first and toured all over the country and did a lot of shows in regional theater in New York and Los Angeles and even abroad. And slowly got into directing and then producing a little bit. And this particular endeavor is sort of really a heart endeavor. It's one of those things that I've been wanting to do, is to tell some stories about Appalachia, where I'm actually from. So it's been very exciting.
It does sound exciting. What was that one moment that precisely influenced you into getting into acting?
Wow, it probably started watching old television, I would think, because, we literally, I think we had 3 channels in Appalachia during those days, NBC, CBS, and what was the other one? ABC. And so, so I would find all of these old shows on television. Some of them I don't even think people knew existed. I watched shows from the 40s and 50s and that were all filmed with live audiences. I remember one of my favorites was this show called I Married Joan. Did you ever hear that?
I remember. My gosh, it's a little throwback as well too. It makes you think of DuPont TV. I don't know why.
I know. I know because. But what was great is the performances were the storytelling was so tight, and the performances were so fantastic. Most of these people were vaudeville performers, and they kind of did remind me of the characters I grew up with. So I think that's probably where I really got started. I also had a grandmother who was an incredible singer, and she taught me a lot about music, and that has absolutely influenced me.
That is fantastic. And what are some of the other TV shows you enjoyed watching?
Well, of course, I love the Carol Burnett Show. It was fantastic. Sonny and Cher, Laugh-In, which was amazing. And what was really cool is not too long ago, my partner did the Laugh-In 50th anniversary special, and he brought me a present home, which was the purse that Ruth Buzzy used to hit people over the head.
I remember that. I was watching it, and I think, my God, I think I was, 9 years old, and I was just laughing at Ruth Buzzy that hitting people, with the purse and everything. And Artie Johnson always said, interesting. And the most famous line, you bet your sweet Bippy. I remember that.
That show, I loved that show so much. And I'm sure most of the jokes went over my head, but I didn't even care because I loved it. I loved all the people and Lily Tomlin and all of that crowd. So, yeah.
And Goldie Hawn made her debut on that one, too.
Yeah.
I guess rivaling Twiggy or something. That was just unbelievable.
Yeah, she looked like Twiggy and she had that funny voice. And oh my gosh, yeah, she created her whole persona, I think, on that show. So, yeah, it was kind of a great time in a weird way for television. And I feel that I really did learn a lot about storytelling during that time period, watching all of those fun old shows.
Mm-hmm. And how do you compare the storytelling in today's media, like on Netflix, Hulu, and all the web series compared to back then?
Yeah, that's a really good question. I mean, obviously, the stories that we watch nowadays they have a lot more levels. They have a lot more, I call them sort of tendrils. They move out in a lot of different directions because that's how I think our modern brain works. We want to see a lot of different people in this world that we're creating. But, and I think some of the elements of today's programming are amazing. It was interesting with our film because we sort of talked a lot about how modern filmmaking and modern storytelling is a little more disjointed and abrupt. And the more old-fashioned type of storytelling sort of followed a sort of smoother course. The conflict sort of presented itself in a more sort of maybe subtle way, whereas nowadays everything's kind of like in your face. But that's something to consider, I think, when you're actually making media nowadays, is how does the audience, what type of audience is going to be able to receive that media?
And also, too, who are some of your favorite directors growing up?
Well, film directors, now, I had a huge fascination with the theater, so I have many theater directors who I love. Bob Fosse, which actually I would also say he was probably one of my favorite film directors as well. Cabaret is one of my favorite all-time films. But Bob Fosse was one of my theater directors that I loved. Hal Prince. In terms of film directors, I was always interested in the type of filmmaking like Robert Altman, the type of filmmaking that felt a little more quiet, that felt sometimes able to just show us or get us into a world that we wouldn't have otherwise seen. I remember the first time I was in film class, I studied this film director named Buñuel, and I remember just loving all of the imagery, but I also loved the fact that he gave us a lot of time with the characters, so we really, he would do these long close-ups on people's faces, and I think that can be really interesting.
Mm-hmm. It does sound interesting. And who are some of your favorite actors and actresses growing up?
I loved pretty much Dustin Hoffman. I was obsessed with almost everything that he did and watched him very carefully because he seemed like the type of actor that I wanted to be. And even though later in life I heard all of these great stories about how Laurence Olivier at one point when they were doing, was it Marathon Man, I guess, was like, what? He was like, here's the deal. Why don't you don't worry about going out and running every morning and like emaciating yourself and just act. which I kind of love that story, but I was I guess as a young actor, that was very appealing to me because I studied in the sort of Uta Hagen, Stanislavski school, a little bit on the methody side, not completely, but that was a part of how I was trained. And so those types of actors always really interested me. Yeah.
Oh, go ahead. I'm sorry.
No, I was going to say, women-wise, I've always loved Meryl Streep, of course. Who doesn't? It's like the most cliche question in the world. Who's the best actress? Meryl Streep. Then, but again, one of the reasons I've always liked her is that her approach was always very quiet. You know, she always had a quiet approach to a character. There weren't these big, huge decisions or huge character choices that she would make. It was all very subtle and quiet and internal, and I loved that.
That is amazing as well, too. And we'll talk more about some of your career. We'll get into the your movie as well, too. But first, listen to the Mike Wagner Show at the MikeWagnerShow.com, powered by Sonic Web Studios. Visit online at SonicWebStudios.com for all your needs. Looking at a professional website without breaking your budget? Sonic Web Studios is the answer. Sonic Web Studios offers fast, affordable custom web designs at below the competition way. Call today at 1-800-303-3960. That's 1-800-303-3960. Or email to support@sonicwebstudios.com. Mention the Mike Wagner Show. Get 10% off your first order. Sonic Web Studios. Take your image to the next level. Also, the Mike Wagner Show can be heard on the MikeWagnerShow.com. You can check our Facebook page at Facebook.com/The Mike Wagner Show. You can download and listen on Facebook, SoundCloud, Spreaker, Spotify, and iHeartRadio. Also on Anchor FM, Radio Public, iTunes, Google Play, Apple, and more. Take the Mike Wagner Show on any mobile device. Subscribe to the Mike Wagner Show on the YouTube channel. Also follow the Mike Wagner Show on Instagram and Twitter today. We're here, a co-writer, producer of Array Productions, Mark Salyer, here on the Mike Wagner Show, growing up in Appalachia and now in Los Angeles as well, too. And you also were featured as Sophocles' Electro in Greece. I think I got that right. It's just like, oh, boy, I'm having trouble with Greek lately.
Hey, Greek drama is always complicated.
Yeah, and of course, you know, you're also in Delphi, and you're Atlanta's Best Guest Actor, and you also appeared in Strauss Die Flirtamus and Sondheim's In the Woods, Rocky Horror Show, and just a lot more. You can just tell us about some of your roles as well.
Yeah, well, probably. I mean, I've always just loved really interesting people and interesting characters, and so I've been really fortunate as an actor to be able to play some people that are pretty iconic, and that's exciting. One of my first favorite roles as a young person was Huckleberry Finn in the musical Big River, which I did in Washington, D.C. for a year. And it was such an amazing experience as a young actor because the story of Huckleberry Finn is so iconic and amazing. And growing up in the South myself, I really related to all of the issues that the book and that the show was talking about. Probably my favorite role ever was a show called Hedwig and the Angry Inch, and it's this crazy rock and roll musical. And I loved it because I got to live out my secret fantasy of wanting to be a pseudo rock star, if only for a short period of time without any of the drugs and alcohol, unfortunately. Or fortunately. Yeah, so that was an exciting show. I had a lot of great projects that I worked on in theater and continue to occasionally do some acting work, though my focus now is very much on our company and producing and writing and directing media of all sorts.
Mm-hmm. And of course, it comes to Array Productions as well, too. You're formed with Melissa Palmer, and tell us more about the Array Productions and what inspired you to form your company.
Yeah, so Melissa Palmer and I are childhood best friends. Literally, we've known each other since we were in second grade. We both were, theater geeks, and in fact, we made our way to New York City for the first time from Appalachia on a bus that was rented by the telephone operators of our county. And so we decided to ask our parents if they'd let us just go with them. And so we went to New York and saw our first Broadway show together when we were in like seventh grade.
Wow.
So we both have had careers in the arts. She primarily was a dancer, and me primarily as an actor and director. And we decided about 4 years ago, a little over 4 years ago, that the stories from our mountains where we grew up were not always told in a real authentic way. That we the characters there could sometimes be sort of either a cliche, or they might be almost telling like only the harshest stories that there are to tell in this region, which, as we know, is very plagued by poverty, by um, rampant opioid abuse, and there are a lot of issues in Appalachia. There's no question. So we kind of wanted to just start telling both sides of the story. And our initial foray into the company was that we wanted to create a bunch of unscripted stuff, documentary style, docu-series, web series, and we have several projects that we've done. One is all about mystical, magical realism in the Appalachian Mountains, and it's very exciting. One's about the music there, which is phenomenal. The music of Appalachia is probably the most memorable part or the most known part of the culture, because this is Appalachia is where bluegrass country music was born. So we really just started working on things and coming up with ideas and pitching some stuff, and in the process, we were doing a program back there for young people to discover arts programs. We did some media, we did some theater, we did all sorts of things, Shakespeare, and that's kind of where the idea for this project came along.
That is amazing as well, too. And from your company, you also produced Where I'm From, Drive Through Delegate, Mystery of Appalachia. You can just tell us about those before we get to your biggest project, Ladies Most Deject.
Yeah, absolutely. Where I'm From is a web series that we actually produced, and that is on the air on YouTube, and anytime you can want to go see it. Where I'm From is about cultural exchange and young people, and the idea is that we followed a young lady from the Appalachian Mountains as she would travel to different parts of the country and meet other young people, and they would show each other their neck of the woods. And it was sort of a very wholesome, homespun kind of idea that's done very well. And we're talking about probably expanding the notion a little bit further to sort of include all kinds of different kids from across the country. Because I feel like right now in this moment, we all need to get to know each other better. I think rural America and urban America feel like they're so distant from each other. And we feel like actually we're all just people. And if we can show each other the way we live, then it might actually help us to start talking to each other in nicer ways.
Mm-hmm. And also, do you think with the current state we're in and also social media, do you think it's drawing closer to what we're experiencing, or do you think it's pulling further apart?
Well, I think it can do both, and that's what's heartbreaking. It is doing both. I mean, for one, it's wonderful that some kid from the middle of Appalachia can get on social media on Twitter and send a message to their favorite baseball player, and that guy might even respond, and that's kind of an amazing, beautiful thing. Like, we didn't always have that ability to connect. But then the other part of it is that everybody has an opinion. and
Don't we all?
And it seems like social media is just everybody's one big open minefield where you can get on there and talk about anything you want to talk about, and you don't even have to tell the truth. That's the fun part. But so I feel like our show, we had a social media component as well. Like we would meet the kids through them connecting through social media. And I did think that was great, because I feel like, again, if we can use this tool to better understand each other, then we're going to come out on the other side much stronger as human beings. So that's where I'm from. It's a really sweet idea. I think that it's something we need right now. And like I said, we're talking about expanding the notion now to sort of just find different kids. I mean, I'd love to see a kid from Brooklyn come to North Dakota and meet the people there, and vice versa, so that people know what lives are like in other towns and other places.
And plus, they can come work as well too. We had some people come from New York come to work in North Dakota as well too, mainly in healthcare because of the fact that New York has been very expensive, and of course, they're offered hospitals in North Dakota. They pay more, and the cost of living is less, and plus, you can get a place for cheap as well too. And most times, they can go into a populated area and feels like they're in New York, but they feel safe.
Yes, no, absolutely. I think that what we're going to see in the next few years is a lot of people are going to sort of migrate away from the big cities. It always goes back and forth. People go to the cities, and the cities get themselves together and revitalize, and they become these wonderful places to be, and then they get really populated again, and people find other places to be and other places to live. And I guess for me, I've always had one foot in the door of rural living and one foot in the door of urban living. So it's easier for me to understand what's great about both places. But I don't know that everybody does. When you talk to people from Appalachia, they often say, oh, wow, how could you ever live in a city as big as Los Angeles? It sounds horrible. And vice versa. My Los Angeles people think, they're like, what are you doing in the middle of the mountains? Are you crazy? So it's a really good thing for me personally, because I love the two different worlds. And I do think that that show was really all about trying to just bridge people's gaps, the gaps that we have between our cultures.
Mm-hmm. And of course, we'll talk about ladies' most deject as well too. But first, listen to the Mike Wagner Show at the MikeWagnerShow.com, powered by Sonic Web Studios. Visit online at SonicWebStudios.com for all your needs. Look at a professional website without breaking your budget. Sonic Web Studios is the answer. Sonic Web Studios offers fast, affordable custom web designs that blow the competition away. Call today at 1-800-303-3960. That's 1-800-303-3960. Or email to support at SonicWebStudios.com. Mention the Mike Wagner Show. Get 10% off your first order. Sonic Web Studios. Take your image to the next level. Also, the Mike Wagner Show can be heard on the MikeWagnerShow.com. You can check our Facebook page at Facebook.com/The Mike Wagner Show. You can download and listen on Facebook, SoundCloud, Spreaker, Spotify, and iHeartRadio. Also on Anchor FM, Radio Public, iTunes, Google Play, Apple, and more. Take the Mike Wagner Show with you on any mobile device. Subscribe to the Mike Wagner Show on the YouTube channel. Also follow the Mike Wagner Show on Instagram and Twitter today. We're here with co-owner of Right Productions, co-writer and producer, also actor Mark Salyer here on the Mike Wagner Show, based out of Appalachia, now living in Los Angeles. He's also done Where I'm From, Drive Through Delegate, Mystery of Appalachia, and quite a number of acting as well too, especially in Greece we talked about. And the big one is Ladies Most Deject, and it's coming from Appalachia as well too. There's also not just a story about what happened in Appalachia, but also an issue that needs to be addressed. And tell us more about Ladies Most Deject.
Yeah, well, this is a project that I'm so proud of, really as proud of anything I've ever done. Basically, it was co-written by myself and a young woman that I met in Appalachia, Connor Wharton. Connor was really about 18 years old when we started talking about the idea, and she was one of the students in our program. We noticed so many kids who were trying to make their families be okay based on parents with issues involving many times opioids, many times other types of drugs, more serious drugs. And we noticed that the communities themselves are really having to come together to take care of young people, to take care of these children who almost are left alone to fend for themselves. So we came up with this idea of following a family that has the problem of addiction in the way of a mother who just started with opioids and went on to bigger and harder drugs. And the movie follows a young teenage girl as she tries to raise her younger siblings and deal and help her mother in whatever way she can. So it's very much a labor of love, because it's something that's real. It's happening in Appalachia, but you're right, it's happening everywhere across the country. We have a major epidemic.
Mm-hmm. And they also say the highest per capita opioid, according to Washington Post, 306 pills per person on an average from 2006 to 2012. How do you figure just over 300 pills? I don't get it.
I know, it's crazy. Well, it was an interesting article that came out in the Washington Post. Basically, the town where we filmed, Norton, Virginia, was one of the two towns that we filmed in, and this town was known to have the highest per capita use of opioids of any place in the country. A tiny little city, I think maybe they have 2,500 people, maybe 3,000. But the average was 306 pills per person on average from 2006 to 2012. Were those prescriptions that were being filled, and so it's obviously that area of the country and many areas of the country have been targeted a little bit, I think, and a crisis has happened, a crisis has occurred, and now we have to actually pick up the pieces of that crisis and make sense of it again. And a lot of great people are doing that in Appalachia and all over the country. And that was sort of the story of the film, the story that we wanted to tell.
Mm-hmm. And how this opioid addiction start in the family and many others. How did it first start?
Well, a lot of times with opioids, people often get on opioids because they're injured and they need painkillers. And then they're very addictive, and pretty much once somebody is on them, if they don't follow them correctly, and if they do overtake them, they can then become addicted. And opioids are kind of the precursor to heroin. It's very funny, in Appalachia, heroin is now an issue. There are heroin overdoses, which is something that when I was growing up there, I don't think we ever even knew what heroin was. We were like, we only knew about Jack Daniels.
Oh, man, I think some people can go for that right now. Almost heaven.
But so the progression can be pretty fast, actually, when people and now meth is a big problem in the town where we shot. Just about 6 months before we started shooting, a meth lab was found in the parking lot of a Walmart.
Oh my goodness!
Yeah, they were doing it out of a camper in a Walmart parking lot. So we just felt like we wanted to address this, but we wanted to address it in a way that was about children and about how children are having to take up the helm of the family, take up the place of parent for so many of their younger siblings, and also to talk about the community, how the community, there are teachers in those communities that are making a difference every day, and that's what our film's really about.
And they're also saying too that the teachers not only teach the children, but they're also social workers as well too. Has that become an epidemic, not just in Appalachia, but all over the U.S. in terms of the schools?
I think so. I mean, I'm a teacher myself. I know a lot of teachers, and I've heard this over and over again, and especially when I was in Appalachia teaching, that the role has changed. You have to be able to know how to go in and help kids in very crisis situations. And I feel that we owe teachers such a great debt from that standpoint, because it isn't really in their job description, and yet they do it because they care. It's funny, my niece is a teacher back in that region, and so are both of my sisters, and they've told me stories about going out and buying clothes for their students. And in one case, and this was very inspiring to us in terms of the film, there was a school there where they created a home room. A room where people could come, and there were beds, and there were washing machines, and there was a kitchen, and there were things that they could do that feel like home, because so many of the kids were having such disjointed home lives. So yeah, I mean, we owe teachers so much. They are on the front lines.
Mm-hmm. It almost sounds like if they're coming together to build these halfway houses, that's what it sounds like safe shelters and everything like that. That's what it sounds like, and it's just amazing.
Yeah. Well, in our film, we kind of take it one step further, and in our film, a teacher has created a safe space in a school that these kids can actually escape to when things get really harried in their home and their mother has decided to build a meth lab with her drug partner. They leave and they go back to school because they have no place else to go, and a teacher finds them a place to sleep for the night. Of course, does that happen? I have no clue, but I do know that teachers are having to be caretakers in this really huge way. And our notion was, wow, I mean, if we could imagine a world where that would be the case, that would be a really disturbing thing to talk about in terms of our culture, that kids may need a safe space to be for a night.
Hmm. And I think that's the most important as well, too. And how much has law enforcement done in Appalachia to combat the opioid problem, and also law enforcement throughout the country to combat this issue?
Right. Well, we have a lot of the county where I grew up, in the county where we shot our film. They have been incredibly proactive in the past 4 to 5 years, and in fact, some of the communities in that region are part of the communities that are suing some of the pharmaceutical companies because
Really?
because they felt that the area was somewhat targeted in terms of the drugs being prescribed in the first place. We've had several doctors and dentists who've been arrested, and turns out they were writing crazy prescriptions. But see, sometimes those prescriptions are coming from little sweet old ladies in the mountains who can't pay their rent and happen to have 2 OxyContin pills. And
Oh,
they're like, if I sell those, I can pay my rent or I can pay my heat bill. And so, it's developed into sort of this like culture. And that's how we need to stop it I think we stop it first by treating the addicts and then making sure that their children and the people around them are safe. I think that's where we have to begin.
and how much are they selling on the black market in Appalachia, like you're talking about?
I mean, I don't know. I'm not privy to the actual numbers in terms of how much is sold, but I'm sure that that's happening. I'm sure that people are in many places across the country taking these drugs, which are highly addictive, and maybe been given a prescription, and then they're selling them because they can get a lot more money for them. And once somebody is an addict, then they'll pay a lot of money for them. That's the thing. It's like the price goes up.
Hmm. And of course, you think about with a doctor and dentist prescribing as well, too, especially for a doctor. That stuff does not quack me up. That's for sure. I'll tell you that. Not even
No,
fun.
yeah, absolutely. I mean, but I feel like again, it kind of does start not to push the blame because we all can take a little bit of the blame here, right? I mean, I think that's the thing about America, that nobody wants to take any of the blame, but we can all say that we are a little bit to blame because when we allow it to happen in our society without standing up and coming up with other ways to help young people, especially, we're a part of the problem and not the solution. But that being said, I do think that the doctors are influenced by drug companies and salespeople who are like, yeah, here's some free samples, blah, blah, blah. Like I think that's a whole process that we all kind of see over and over again. It's just that these particular drugs were so addictive that they really caused a major crisis. And again, not just in Appalachia. I'm sure that there are problems in every state in the country at this point in terms of opioid use and the correlation to bigger drug use afterwards.
Hmm. And of course, with the film as well, too, Ladies Most Deject, this has obviously won quite a number of awards and it's been seen 30 festivals internationally. And what are some of the awards that's been won, especially the most prestigious?
Well, we have had an incredible run so far in terms of our festival circuit, and we're very, very proud of the film. We started, our first big award that we won was with La Femme Film Festival in Los Angeles. La Femme is one of the largest women's film festivals, And of course, our film was directed by a woman, Martha Elkin, who's also from Virginia in that same region. Martha's had this amazing career in film and television. She's worked with every major director, Steven Spielberg, everyone you can think of. She's actually worked with them throughout the course of the past 30 years, and she really loved the story and really wanted to come back to Virginia to tell it. So we won first place. We won the best short of that festival, which is exciting. We just recently won the audience choice at the Idlewild Film Festival in Idlewild, California. Connor, the young lady who I wrote the film with, she won Best Actress in several film festivals, and her performance is really phenomenal. It's so detailed, and considering she was only 19 years old when she actually filmed this.
Oh my goodness, that's amazing.
Yeah, she really, and it's her first real film project ever. So, she really brings just a thoughtfulness to the role that I think really makes the film powerful and makes it something that you want to watch. She's very engaging as a performer. Mm-hmm. So she's won Best Actress at Brooklyn Women's Film Festival, at Sholo Film Festival. I'm trying to remember some of the others, but we just won Best Screenplay at the Dam Short Film Festival, and that's a film festival in near Las Vegas that has over 150 films, short films in it every year, and we won Best Screenplay, which was very exciting. It made me happy because I feel like our screenplay, we really put a lot of heart into it and really put a lot of thought into every word that's said. We wanted it to be simple and concise, and I feel like that was nice to be acknowledged in that way. We've won a couple of screenwriting awards as well.
That is fantastic, and a big kudos as well too. You guys did a great job.
Yes, we were really proud of it. And one thing I was going to say, the music in it is so amazing. It's all from Appalachia, from Appalachian artists, and I think it really does help tell the story.
And where can we see this film?
So right now we're just finishing up our film festival circuit. And so we're in a few festivals that are coming up, though, of course, a lot of things have gotten postponed due to what our country is dealing with right now. But we are going to be in the worldwide World Fest International Film Festival in Houston. We're in the Richmond International Film Festival, and soon we'll be announcing what we're going to be doing with the film after the festival circuit, which is you will have an opportunity to stream the film at home, which is great, even though I must say it looks so much better on a big screen. But
definitely it does.
I know, right? But yeah, we'll be talking about that soon. But people can follow us on Facebook. We have a Facebook page, Instagram, Ladies Most Deject, and also you can go to our website, which is ladiesmostdeject.com, and learn about the next place we're going to be screening and where you can stream it online.
We're looking forward to it. That is fantastic. Once again, Mark Salyer from on the Mike Wagner Show at the Ray Productions, talking about Ladies Most Deject and more. And what are your upcoming plans for later on in 2020 and down the road in terms of film projects and other projects and the works as well?
Yeah, so we're working on 2 feature films, scripts, and one is also set in Appalachia. It's a little bit of a horror movie, which I think will be really fun because it's going to delve into all that kind of wonderful Appalachian mysticism, and I'm excited about pursuing this. So we're working on that script right now, and we also have another piece that tackles faith in Appalachia. Some of the world's, sometimes the many of the different types of sects of Christianity in Appalachia get a lot of bad treatment in terms of the media. They're not completely understood, but we've come up with a really fun story that I think is going to delve into that world, not in a preachy way, but in a really honest way, so that we really get to know these people and what they believe, and see that they're just real people who have hilarious, crazy, wonderful things happen in their families, just like in all of our families.
Oh, that's amazing. Looking forward to that as well, too. And of course, who do you consider biggest influence in your career?
Oh gosh, that one's a hard one. Um, I mean, from afar, I've had so many teachers, and I can't even tell you how many teachers I've had who have influenced me. Um, but from afar, I would say that um, probably Fellini. I love Fellini's films. He probably made me feel and be excited about telling small town stories because he often did, and they were always full of drama, but also hilarious and funny and charming and brilliant. So yeah, I would say maybe Fellini was my biggest
Okay.
influence, though I never got to meet Fellini.
Well, I'm sure one day, but what's the best advice you can give to anybody at this point?
Well, I think that, tell your story. I mean, we all are storytellers. It's not just, storytellers are not just people who work in Hollywood or work on Broadway. We all tell a story every day. We tell our story when we're trying to market ourselves, when we're trying to sell ourselves, when we're writing a resume, when we're writing an essay in school. And I would say that, learn to be a good storyteller. Find out what it is that makes a story interesting to someone and listen to people's stories and come up with ways of telling your own stories that come from you, that are authentic to you, but also have some of those wonderful common elements like the conflict and the questions and the hook and the things that really make us listen.
And that's fantastic and something important as well, too. Once again, Mark Salyer, director of Latest Most Deject on the Mike Wagner Show. A big thank you for your time. You've been fantastic. Once
Thank
again,
you.
no problem. Tell us about your upcoming projects. Once again, what's your website? How do people contact you? And where can people check out your movies?
Yes. So definitely take a look at our website for the film, which is www.ladiesmostdeject.com. But you can also check out our company. The company is called Array Productions. It stands for Appalachia Right At Ya. So
I love it. That is fantastic. And of course, once again, Mark, a big thank you for your time. You've been fantastic. Look forward to having you again soon. And do us a favor, keep us up to date. We'd love to have back on 2020. You've been fantastic.
Appalachia